She goes, "You are so cold," right? And I said, "Guys, I got to go outside. I am really sick." So I walked by, and there's a girl about 2 feet away from me with her back turned to me, and she even says on the recording, she goes, "You can feel how cold he is from here,"
Wow.
right? So I go outside, and I'm out there for like 10, 15 minutes, and I start to feel better, and Jilly Beans comes out to see if I'm dead. Right? And I wasn't. So
How
I said, "Let's
close.
go back in," right? I'm feeling better. We walked back in, and it felt like someone kicked me in the gut, right? So I just looked over, and I said, "Guys, I don't want to ruin your night. I'm really sick. I got to get out of here." And I turn my back, and I start to leave, and on the tape it says, "Turn Rick back." Right?
Oh.
Now, I didn't listen to the tapes myself, to hear what it was, but that's what they say it says.
Mm-hmm.
And then I turn around, I said, "Thank you, it was nice you guys inviting me," and I turn around, I start to walk away, and there's a male voice goes, "Release him." So
Wow.
there was some freaky crap that happened at the Pioneer Saloon. As a matter of fact, if your listeners will go to hghmag.com, which stands for Hollywood Ghost Hunter Magazine, and that's the easiest way to remember it, hghmag.com. We have the main article is about Kane Hodder, who plays Jason, and he's the co-founder of our group. And he's also just had his documentary come out, which will just rip your heart out. I mean,
Yeah, I'm going to be
it's
seeing that.
it's awesome. Let's put it that way. But the story of the Pioneer Saloon and the people is also in the magazine. So, and it's free. If you don't like it, you don't get your money back.
And you don't get to fuss either because it was free.
Yeah, it's free.
Well, I have talked to, in fact, Jack had told me that he had something coming out in this new issue too. So, if I'm not mistaken. But
Actually, it's not in this one. It was going to be.
right?
And then we decided that we would hang on to it for the next issue because it will be more in time with where he's going.
Right. Okay.
So that's when I'm going to let it go. I was hoping that I would be going to the same convention, but it doesn't look like I am. But I still want to run the thing for the promoter, just maybe to give him some more people come to the door,
Well, he deserves more people at the door. He is an amazing person too.
He's a good dude.
He is a good dude. I enjoyed him. It was my first interview back, so I was really nervous and a little uptight. And
You did fine. I was listening.
thank you. It was so much fun to get to speak with him. And he's very kind and very knowledgeable and was just a brilliant person to talk with. I met him last year at
he's a good
Scarefest.
dude.
So, well,
Actually, he was at Scarefest last year too.
that's where I met him. He is on the Extreme Paranormal team with my friend Tim Conwell, and I got to meet all of them, and I was every one of them brought me a signed photograph, which hang in my office, and I was so worried because I was going to go do a live show at a jail, and I was going to have these, beautiful publicity pictures that I'm not the most graceful woman in the world, and I was afraid something would happen to him. I was like, oh no, I have these pictures. I've got to send them home. But they made it home, and they made them home beautiful and intact, and they look great. I get to look at them while I work. So
That is cool. Actually,
yeah.
Jack is a member of quite a few groups.
He is. Oh my goodness, right there where he lives, and then he's got the up around Troy, New York with Extreme Paranormal. But his team where he lives, whose name I forget, are who do the shows, who have been on the shows.
Well, I know that he's also a member of the San Diego Ghost Hunters.
I didn't know that. He didn't mention that.
Well, what was really funny is we were talking, and he goes, "Well, tell me about this." And I said, "Well, this has happened," and I told him like that, and he goes, "Wait a minute." I said, "What do you mean, wait a minute?" He goes, "You're that Rick." I said, "What do you mean, that Rick?" And he goes, "Maritza from the San Diego Ghost Hunters is talking about all the stuff that she's done with you." And I said, "Yeah, that would be me, that Rick."
That's cool. Well,
So,
I love when you have that synchronicity with other people in the field. And it just kind of, you know, whether you get a chance to investigate with them or you just have paths that cross periodically, and you can always learn from that. And, you know, then you run into somebody that you talk for 20 minutes and they're a dear friend.
That's like me and Kat Hobson. I'll tell you a funny thing about a synchronicity. I went to a Paracon 2 years ago, and I'm out at LAX, and I'm walking on the plane, and I look up, and Erin Ryder from Destination Truth is ahead of me. Right? I don't know if you know who she is or not. Real pretty blonde girl.
You know, she's brilliant.
You know, she used to be with Josh Gates on that Destination Truth show, and actually, I interviewed her for my magazine. But she's walking ahead of me, and she's got a couple of bags, and she's got this one long picture in a tube. And the stewardess stops her, and she's right in front of me, and she goes, "I'm sorry, you're only allowed to carry one thing on." I went, "The picture's mine," right? And Aaron turns around and looks at me, and the lady goes, "Oh, okay." Right? So I didn't know it. I found, like, 2 weeks ago, I found a tweet about Aaron Ryder saying, "Rick McCallum from the Hollywood Ghost Hunters saved my picture getting on the plane."
You're such a gentleman.
I mean, yeah, so it's you know, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. No, I really admire her because, you know, she, no matter where he was, she was right there, stuck out there with him. Fierce. Well, she's fierce.
I don't think you know the half of it. If you go back to the archives of HGH Mag and read her story,
I will.
Because I felt like a bum after talking to her, because when I'm interviewing her, I said, "So, did you always want to be in the paranormal?" And she goes, "Well, not so much. She says, "I was a producer."
Right.
I said, "You were?" And I said, "What, did you produce anything I might have seen?" She goes, "Well, I helped produce the Summer Olympics." I was like, "Oh." And then I asked, I said, "Well, you know, did you have any formal education?" She goes, "Well, I have a master's degree." And I was like, And then I said, "Well, I've seen you, like, when you tried to race an ostrich and stuff." I said, "You're pretty athletic. Did you play sports?" And she goes, "Yeah, I played field hockey." And I said, "Was your team any good?" She goes, "Yeah, we won the national championship." And I'm like,
Oh, that is too funny.
And then I said, "Yeah, but were you any good?" She goes, "I made the All-American team." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm just going to take my resume and burn it now."
Yeah, no interviews for me. But I have gotten caught unawares. It happens to everybody because, you know, you were asking what people wanted to know, and she turned out to be so accomplished. A pretty cool thing to find out.
She's a real sweet person, too.
Yeah, she seems like she would be. I've heard other people who know her discuss mention that she is. But I didn't know she was a producer on that level.
Well, she was one of them, obviously.
Well, I don't
know if she was the head cheese, but even being one of them middling cheeses on something like that is phenomenal.
It's cool. I mean, that's quite an honor to participate on that.
Exactly.
Kind of
they don't just hand those out just because.
Right.
Yeah, she's really nice. You know, I've been lucky enough to meet a lot of nice people. Like Chris Williams is really nice from Ghost Hunters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Tango and Perry and all those guys are all nice.
Dustin Perry's pretty astounding. He's good at what he does.
You know, and I'm friends with the Ghost Adventure guys because we were on their show.
Right.
You know, so actually,
I went to his museum.
You know, most everybody that I've met has been really cool.
I went to his museum in Vegas.
Yeah, I haven't been there. My friend Lewis went to it. He said it's really cool.
It is really cool.
Oh, you went too?
I did go.
Nice.
I just loved it. I was very interested in that Dybbuk box, and I was surprised by the number of things that were in the museum that had been at Zach's house first. And he realized that probably they should be in the museum. So it's interesting when you feel like, well, this will be okay, and then you realize, oh, no, that is so not. But some of the things that he has in that museum are just so diverse and interesting, and there's a lot that was like I expected, but much more that wasn't. And I thought that was a neat thing.
Well, you know, I personally think that Zach is one of the most underrated people when it comes to ghost hunting. And I also think that Dave Schrader is also.
I think so, too.
And the reason I say that is because first off, when we did Ghost Adventures with him, we're very, very careful of our reputation. So we watch like eagles,
Right.
to make sure there was nothing funny going on, and there wasn't. They were as above board as could be. But a lot of people don't know. I mean, like Zach, he bought the Demon House, so he could do a show. He produced another movie, which actually I stunt coordinated. And
I didn't know that.
I mean, the guy is he was the first person I interviewed for the magazine. And what was really cool is I sent it to him, and it was a pretty long thing. And I said, take a look and see if you want anything changed. And I got it back within 5 minutes with the changes. I mean, he's no dope, trust me.
No, he's not. And I have so many friends who know him personally, like you, and Scott Gruenwald also knows him. Everyone that I know who knows him personally, not just he showed up and investigated their location or whatever, but who have a personal friendship and relationship with him, have nothing but praise for him. And I know that he's a good businessman. He's smart. He's theatrical, but that's his training and his his want. That's his way. And he is trying to get evidence in a hot hurry because it's television production. And I get all that. And at first I didn't. And like we've talked about, I would love to have a chance to interview him. I think that he is one of the most controversial figures in the paranormal, but you know what? He's still there when a lot aren't.
Yep.
And he does a good job with what he does. Do I think that sometimes he should put a few more disclaimers because he's cool? He looks awesome. He has suffered from some of the methods that he's used, and he'll tell you that. But children, adolescents, whatever, who are trying to be cool and think that he's astounding will emulate him. And if you don't know what you're doing, sometimes that's not a good idea. But you can't argue with his results. You can't argue with his business acumen. You can't argue with his heart because he's one of the kindest people from everything I've ever heard. When it comes to his fans, when it comes to people in need, I don't know. He's kind of like a lightning rod in the paranormal.
Well, I think, first off, I think a lot of people are just jealous, to be honest with you.
I will agree with that because the results.
And, one of the things that I noticed that I thought was so cool, when I was coordinating the movie,
right.
I was only there for one day because it didn't have a lot of action.
Right.
And I'm sitting in the back, and the people in the back room had no idea that I knew Zach, right?
Right.
And I'm sitting there, and one of the guys goes, Zach, he's going to send me someplace again, right? And the guy goes, what's wrong with that? He goes, well, he says, I'll sit there and say, Zach, I got to have gas money, and I'm not making a lot of money on this show. And he says, he'll reach into his pocket and grab out some hundreds, and he goes, here you go, right? And he goes, all right, I'll bring you the change. He goes, nah, it's all right. So, yeah.
That's what
if
I'm
that's
saying.
the worst thing you can say about somebody,
right? That's what I'm saying. He is, everybody that I know talks about everybody that I know who knows him personally, not people, like I said, who have just been where he investigated or whatever. But people who truly know him are just so knocked out by him because he is a nice guy. And he takes care of his fans. I don't know. I think that I trust you. I trust God. I trust all these other people that I know personally. And I do think that because of who follows him so closely, maybe a few more disclaimers. But I think that he does a good job.
Yeah, I do too. Actually, I'm still pretty much friends with all of them. I mean, I don't really talk to Aaron too much.
Right.
So he actually came down. He was there while we were filming that day. Nick, I talk to much more often. But yeah, that's all of them are good guys.
Yeah. And I have friends that work with Nick professionally, and I've never heard anything but positives about him either. So there's that.
See, the one really nice thing about our group is, we're all pretty nice. We're pretty funny, and we can beat your group